So guys, do you still believe in Jasprit Bumrah? I mean, we have to. We don't have a
Um,
choice. But
Unfortunately, only
uh,
one who we believe in.
I swear. I think second test match on some level I expected this. I expected them to fight back. It was never going to be easy. It was sort of like the way India responded in 2017 after we lost in Pune. There was going to be a response. With the pink ball, their record is amazing. We've not played a pink ball test match since 2020 Adelaide. So we were
No, 2022. The last
22.
test match we played was 22 Sri Lanka,
Oh,
Bangalore.
it,
22.
okay.
Shreyas
Yeah,
Iyengar's debut match, I think so.
that was basically, yeah, like still 2 years since we played a pink ball test match away from
I think
home.
Australia's played three times the amount of pink ball test matches
I
12.
think
than any
they've
other
It was
played
team.
their 12th,
22.
11th or 12th ping ball test.
No, I think it's their 22nd pink ball test, if
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
wrong.
no, 22nd.
I don't know. But basically, yeah, they've played far more pink ball cricket than
Hmm.
any other country has.
13th. 30. So including this is the 13th.
13th,
Okay,
okay.
this was the 13th. So they have won 12, I think so then. They
Yeah.
lost one last year. Shamar Joseph was the one.
Correct. And Stark obviously is unbelievable with the pink ball, and it showed. So I think we started off on the back foot for sure. We were never favorites, and I think
I don't
we,
think so. I think given how the first game panned out, I think we were very much in the contest, especially with Rohit and Shubman Gill coming back,
And winning the toss as well.
winning the toss. I think
I
it
think
wasn't the
no,
case as if Australia were favorites, maybe a 51-49. Uh,
normally
at
Like
least
in
Australia was
until
Adelaide,
ball
equally under
zero.
pressure
After the
also.
first ball, things the dynamic changed quite a bit.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Again, it was the same thing, same old story. Our batting is not standing up.
but guys, one thing
Somewhere
that I
like
noticed about the
again after
Adelaide,
us scoring 180, we thought that there
hmm,
might be a Perth repeat that would have happened. But every time you
no.
can't just keep on relying on your bowling attack to bail you out. The batsmen somewhere need to stand up and take that ownership on themselves. Okay, now they have to perform.
I honestly felt like the toss here was an important one, and I was very surprised that Rohit decided to bat first. While the statistics indicate that he should bat first,
Hmm.
the conditions specifically here on day one very cloudy in Adelaide, which is normally not the case. Adelaide is
Hmm.
normally very sunny, and it's in normal Adelaide conditions, it would have been great to bat first. But this time it was cloudy. It was almost like an England afternoon.
But I don't think the ball was doing that much.
The
I
ball
mean, it was
wasn't
doing
swinging that much, but the Australian bowlers are making sure that we are not leaving the ball. That was the main point of difference between our
Correct.
first innings and their first innings. They made like there was like I think they made us play 22% of the balls, whereas we just made sure that they played 4% of the balls. So that is the vast difference. And the last two tours when we won in Australia, it was because we were attacking the stumps. This time our bowlers
Correct.
weren't attacking the stumps. And obviously, once you have scored 180, you can't just think of your bowlers to do all the hard work. Do the It's just quite unfair on them, I feel. Okay, not every time you have to expect Jasprit Bumrah, Siraj, and everyone to run in and
For
run through
sure, for
lineups.
sure.
And somewhere I feel like the bowlers did have like a psychological dent as well. Like they want something in their bag to bowl at.
Correct.
also I do think so we lack teeth. End of the day, even with Boland, the Australian bowling attack, wherever whoever is bowling, there's some bite in them. With
Hmm.
us, Siraj has his moments, has his periods, but outside of that, there's no real
It was quite a
bite in.
toothless attack. Like if you remove Jasprit Bumrah, then it's just like you have to
Exactly.
wait.
In fact, I felt Nitish Reddy was underbowled. He was getting a
Hmm.
lot of shape. And if you had to try something new rather than keep bowling the same people, we should have bowled Nitish Reddy more. But coming to the bowling later, maybe starting with India's batting, it was a shit
I
show.
think the only two good positive moments we had was like that short period where KL and Shubman were batting after the
Yeah.
loss of the first wicket, and then Nitish Reddy with his quick fire 42, where he attacked Scott Boland. And I think the commentators also said this one thing: Scott Boland is that type of a bowler. He's going to bowl you at the same place. So if
Exactly.
someone is bowling you at the same place, you just need someone to come in there and attack,
Dismantle
and
their
that's what
line
Nitish
length.
Reddy did. Just throw
And
him off his line and length.
and I
When
don't
Scott
think
Boland, I think the last time when he went to England during Ashes, English English batsmen actually attacked him a lot, and and
Mm.
they nullified his threat. I think that is one place where I think we
absolutely.
actually lacked a lot. We didn't
I
attack
think
Scott Boland,
even
and all this
Rishabh
talk
Pant in the
about
second
batting with
innings.
high intent didn't show up.
I think
Mm.
that's the problem with the entire batting unit as a whole. I don't remember too many test matches that were won on the back of our batting,
Fair
as a
enough.
unit at least. We
Like
won games
on
on the
back
back
of the
of
top order
individual
performing.
performances.
But I can say like one more thing I would add, like not like the top six not performing. It's always been like even if we have scored 400, it's because of our lower order contributing. Someone like Ashwin Jadeja coming in
Because
and
of
Or
six,
it's
seven,
Jadeja.
one,
and
or it's a
contributing.
Jaiswal scoring or 170 or
Yeah,
a
or
Rohit
a
scoring
Jaiswal
one.
scoring. But whenever Jaiswal scores, I don't see anyone else scoring in the top order.
Exactly, exactly. So it's
Exactly, exactly.
batting has been an issue, and I think this goes back into the Kohli days.
Yeah.
Batting has been an issue for the better part of the last decade. And
I think
now
since
that,
2018, since we started to like
yeah,
that the year of 2018 where we toured South Africa at the start, then England, and at the end we were in
Yeah.
Australia. Batting was always an issue for us, and it has continued. We did have our moments of brilliance when in 2019 when we were playing at home.
absolutely. I think home batting is still not as big an issue, but away batting has been terrible. And
Yeah,
speaking of away batting,
I feel like
the wickets, if you look at all the fall of wickets, I don't think the bowling was spectacular. Yes, it was great. Like Rahul's wicket and Kohli's wicket they were balls that you had to drop your shoulders to or to drop your
yeah.
hands.
It was
Yes,
just
they
an
rose
action
very
replay.
quickly.
Like Kohli's wicket was just like an action replay of what Rahul did.
Exactly, exactly. So it's I don't think it was more a bowler's wicket. It was more a batsman's wicket to give away.
Like again, we
does
had like a
this make you guys appreciate Pujara more?
I
Uh,
don't think so. Pujara would have done something different, but again,
yeah.
like
You think so?
I mean, again, we would have just one batsman standing up. You need at least from your top six, you need two or three people to come in and contribute.
Also, I think in
Hmm.
in in this kind of test match, you had to go for runs. So there's only
Yeah,
so
you had
much.
to.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's one ball that would have done something. Maybe he would have taken 10 more overs to sort of
Yeah, I
to
mean,
stand
this
in
was
there.
not the kind of a pitch where you had to bite time.
Agreed.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I
But I
know
feel
the
like it
Australians have always spoken about Pujar, etc., but he's been great. Due credit to him, but the games were
in
won
Australia
because
specifically
in Australia, specifically, but the games, even in the
twice.
last series, the games were won because you had a Pant, because you had a Washi, a Shubman Gill, etc. Not because Pujara is a
But
great supporting act, but I
don't
don't
you
think
think it would become easier for a Rishabh Pant coming in at number 5 or number 6 if Pujara is still at the other end scoring at at a strike rate of 35 or 40 but tiring the bowlers out. In fact, that's what happened in at Gabba in 2021. That's what happened in Sydney. Pujara blunted the bowlers. He
SCG,
wore the
MCG, I am aligned, but with Gap.
SCG and Gabba
See, this
both.
this was a pink ball test, and let's say we would have gotten into the third session under the lights, the same balls would have been doing a lot more. I don't think
Hmm.
Pujara would have. See,
And then Pujara's like peculiar, ये क्या कह सकते हैं, the weakness he has, like the ball where he squares himself up and is
exactly.
like someone
And
like a
with
Scott Bowling trying to make sure bowling the
exactly with
top
a
of a
Boland
fly.
doing the same thing over and over, there's
What
you're losing that
Hazelwood has
one
done
ball to
to
do
him, what
something slightly
Cummins have
different.
done to him. So I mean,
Hmm.
like Pujara wouldn't have done anything like anything different as such. But again, now if you think that this is the best top six that you have, and if you have been backing them, they have to stand up. And in the top six, you have people who have played more than 30 Test matches. Like Shubman Gill has played 30. You have
Fair
Rishabh
enough.
Pant, Kohli, Rohit,
The only
Jaiswal
person who
fairly new.
hasn't is has been faultless in his career.
Sorry.
Sorry.
The only person who hasn't played 30 tests has been faultless in his career. So,
Hmm. Fair enough.
but Kohli
I
and
mean, you
Rohit
can still
have
cut
to.
some slack for Jaiswal because he is fairly new to the Test setup. But other than that, you have other five batsmen who have played good amount of Test matches. They have toured Australia twice or thrice, or maybe they are in their fourth tour. And if they are still not able to stand up to this, then they
That's
have to
true.
go back to
And
the
it's not
drawing
like you have
board
new bowlers. You've been facing the same bowling
Or the
attack.
same bowler. Yeah,
since
yeah, yeah.
2016.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
I think since 2014-15 you have Hazelwood and Stark and
Hazelwood was
Lyon
not a
actually.
bit part of that series, but you have been
He
playing
made his
Hazelwood in all
debut, I
white
think,
ball.
in
You have
that
been playing him
series.
in white ball in IPL. Then since
Correct,
2016, you have
correct,
been
correct,
playing
correct.
him. So it's been
I
good
also
8 years
think
of playing the same bowlers.
the entire batting unit has become very one-dimensional. Like people can't find ways to either bite time at the crease or score runs. Even with Pant, Pant finds new ways, but in only in that direction. Like It's the Pant way of doing things, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is very effective. I don't think even we can cut him some slack. But the others, and when you think of it, at what I think we were 60 for one when Rahul got out,
69 for one, yeah.
69, 70
69
for
for
one,
70
I
for
think.
one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Mm.
we were in a very, very good position. And chal,
yeah,
we
yeah.
lost Rahul, mistakes can happen. But after that, from Rahul to Nitish Reddy, that collapse simply cannot happen. And we've seen it
I mean,
far
this
too
has been
often.
happening again and again. It's not like this is a
Exactly.
one-off incident. It has been happening in every test match. And now the occurrence of
Mm.
such collapse happening is like it is happening in every innings.
And it's more apparent now because we don't have at this point at least, we don't have a Shami or even an Ishant Sharma. Like, I think
Mm.
our
Correct.
bowling has lost a lot of its bite, which is why all of this is now very, very apparent. When you think of it, even England 2021-22, if it wasn't for that
Mm.
crazy
Shami
innings
Bumrah
by
partnership.
Bumrah and Shami,
Mm.
Mm.
the entire equation of how we look at that test era would be very, very different.
That's
In
true.
fact, the
That's true.
fourth test also when we played Rory Burns and who was opening with Rory Burns back then? They had a Hasib Hamid. They had a 100-run partnership. Rory Burns and Hasib Hamid had a 100-run opening partnership in England. It was because of Lord Shardul we got the first breakthrough.
I swear.
But they were on the
Yeah,
verge
I
of
think.
chasing down 350 or 360 something odd. They were 105 or 107 for no loss.
Hmm.
So again, if you look at it, the bowling does look a bit toothless right now. They don't
And
have
that's
that
also
kind of
relative. I don't think the bowling is doing too bad objectively. It's
They
just
are
that
not doing too bad. According to the conditions, they are doing their best.
exactly. It's just that the previous bowling attack was so much better, and the
Yeah.
opposition bowling attack is so much better, and the batsmen are
This
doing so poorly that
and
it.
again now we are in a transition phase also, so you can understand. But there would have the difference would have been there when you're bowling with 180 in hand and when you're bowling with 280 in hand. You can be a
Exactly.
bit more attacking
Absolutely.
also.
Or forgetting a 280, even a 250. It's just
Yeah.
Mm.
the psychological barrier, and it's not just the overall score. It's losing that commanding position of 70 for one and then bundling out for 180. That's also more.
180. I mean, even I think at toss if Pat Cummins would have known that we have been rolled out for 180, he would have taken it.
Yeah, yeah,
Even with
100%
that
with both hands.
KL and Shubman partnership also, he would have taken it
With both hands.
with both
And
hands.
I think the
Or
problem with the batting lineup is also not that we're bundling out for 180. It's a very peculiar situation because your batsmen are not very out of form. Leave
hmm.
aside Rohit Sharma, everybody else has gotten some decent score in the last four innings.
Yeah.
The issue is if somebody's scoring, everybody's scoring. If nobody's scoring, nobody's scoring.
See,
Mm.
when everybody is scoring, it means that the pitch is flat,
Fair.
which has been the case. We haven't seen any tough runs being scored by our batsmen, except Kohli in South Africa, where he scored that 79. Other than
78.
that,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
think
I
so.
think there have been
Any of our
instances.
batsmen have scored tough
Rahul in
runs.
England, Rahul in Australia
Rahul at
scored.
Centurion.
Rahul at Centurion, but like
But
again,
few and
but
far
that was like
between.
2 years back. But if we take in this 1 year span, we haven't seen any of
Yeah,
our
yeah, we have.
batsmen
We have.
standing up
That's
in
true.
tough
In
situations.
fact, the last tough situation I remember somebody scoring in the top five, top six batsmen outside of Pant. Pant obviously has multiple innings, but outside of Pant was probably Shreyas Iyer against Bangladesh.
Oh, the test match
And
where we were seven, or we had lost 7 wickets,
that
him
way,
and
yeah,
Ashwin.
or Ashwin and Jadeja against Bangladesh
Yeah, I
earlier
meant in
this.
the top six. So
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, if our batsmen are not standing up, rather than just like having batsmen play 7 or 8 all rounders, it's fine.
yeah.
but that's
Very
the other
unconvinced as
question.
Gambhir might think about it. I mean, if your batsmen are barely scoring 80 runs, your top four is just contributing 75 or 80 runs. So it's good enough to have more all-rounders in the team. At least you have more bowling options. You can
Patel,
try
bring back
something else.
Akshar Patel.
Yeah, but
I mean,
yeah, I mean the way we are playing Washi and Akshar as pure batsmen uh, could
it clearly
arguably
signifies one thing that you are picking as number eight because you don't trust your top six. You are having someone at number eight to bat
absolutely.
because you know
Who's
your
been the
top
top
six
scorer
man,
for
nobody
three
is
out of four
playing.
innings? Nitish Reddy's been a top
Sorry,
scorer for 3 out of 4 innings for us.
the four. And this guy
Wow.
hasn't even
Okay.
played first class cricket. Like not
First
good
class
amount
cricket.
of
Yeah,
first
he's had
class
one
cricket or red
season
ball
first
cricket in
class
his
cricket.
entire career.
It's absurd.
Hmm.
It's like we can just actually field
Anyway,
a
what
team of
about
11 debutants also and they might perform better.
But I mean, I think ये सब पे eventually सवाल वही है, what's the solution? Because yeah, you've played Padikkal, you've played Sarfaraz, you've played whoever else. Nobody is working. So at this point, I
I
mean,
think
yeah, Ishwaran is left
you
to
just get you get a good sports psychologist and ask them, like, have a one-on-one conversation with the batsman. Like, what, क्या हो रहा है? क्यों नहीं हो रही पढ़ाई भाई तुमसे? Like, what is the problem?
It's
But
Because it
also
looks
the
like yeah,
pitches
top
that
six has
we
a
play
huge
on in
mental
domestic
block.
cricket. It's also the pitches that we play on in domestic cricket.
हाँ
None
यार,
of the
अभी अभी
pitches
वो
are.
स्नैट में शमी ने क्या क्विक फायर 40 मार दिया यार.
Yeah, all-round performance by Shami.
But I think the reasons why our batsmen are playing the way they are, it's also down to the kind of pitches we play on in domestic cricket.
I'm not entirely
None of
sure. There are so many India A tours happening now. All these players, Padikkal has been a
not
part.
as many, not as many as there were 2 years ago.
But
Not
Previously,
as
yes.
is
I think post-COVID, the A2s have been on a decline.
fair, but
exactly.
still, Padikkal has been on a fair number of A tours. Whatever that entire batch, 2008, 19 to 23
They've
batch,
not. Hmm,
they've
they've not.
played.
They've not played as much. They've not played as much
Okay,
overseas
but
cricket as
even
well.
if A2s, but okay, you don't have Shubman Gill playing an A tour or in Ranji. You don't have Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, or Yashasvi also is not playing that much. Like any kind, like all of these players are usually in
Once they've
either
debuted,
they are in the white ball
yeah,
setup or they are playing a test match. So they don't even have the time to go out there and play some kind of
Correct.
list A matches.
if India
So
has
I
a
still feel it is a
domestic
huge
game in
mental block
London,
for the
then Virat
current
Kohli
top
will play.
six.
The
At the end
the
of the day,
best
Virat
stat,
is again getting out fishing outside off stump. Rohit, I don't
and it's
know.
not even the
He
sixth stump with Virat. It's the 11th, 12th stump. Like, and it's
he is going to do it. Like the moment Virat comes into bat, it's you just start praying to all the gods that exist. Even the
Hmm.
purest atheist would actually think about God when Virat is batting, because he's going to do something and it is going to get him out.
यार छोले भटूरे नहीं छोड़ने चाहिए थे, आउटसाइड ऑफ स्टंप छोड़ने चाहिए थे.
I don't know. But anyway, I
But
think Rohit's form is the biggest worry going into
no,
the
I
next.
think it's the batting unit as a whole. I don't think it's a
Whole.
an
I am
individual
not
batsman's
as worried
problem.
about the entire batting. I think
No, but
it's
that's what happened in the first innings, right? See, when you think of it, Jaiswal, beauty of delivery first up, can't really blame him. Both Gill and Rahul played decent knocks.
hmm,
Again, Pant, one off day, can't really blame him. So it's as if everybody is doing some bits, but nobody's been able to do anything significant.
but
So
that's the thing, right? You expect Rohit to come good because he's the only one in it, and it's been what I don't know 12 13 innings. He's not 150 score against
correct.
New Zealand 52 or whatever. That's the only big score, slightly big score that he's got. So you do expect Rohit to come good. I think with the others, I think you can maybe rule this out as an aberration and hope for them to come good because like of the top six, we have Kohli coming on the back of 100, Jaiswal coming on the back of a 150, Rahul on the back of a 77. Pant has scored multiple 50s across the last 3 4 test matches in crunch situations. So we have three, and Gill also has been in
Contributing. Yeah.
reasonably
Yeah,
good form.
reasonable form.
So I feel
But I
like
think someone in the top six has to finally say "Okay, it's not just about the 30s and 40s that
Yeah,
they're
you have
scoring. Someone has
to.
to
correct.
go out there and score big.
Score big, exactly. So I think the big runs, apart from Jaiswal, nobody's really got those big runs.
It's
Hopefully
not
that
just
happens.
big runs; it's also convincing runs. Even with the KL 77, uh, we've never been dominating the bowling attack. None of these other players outside of Pant and Jaiswal have been in a position to dominate the bowling attack. And even when a KL is batting, or even when Shubman and KL were batting in that innings,
Hmm.
Australia felt they were on top. Outside of that 2 over, 3 over phase just before KL got out when they got a bunch of boundaries,
Hmm.
Australia were never under the pump. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
at best, it would
I
be a
think what
split
our
session.
batting is going through is quite similar to what Australia was going through in 2018 after the sandpaper gate, where they had regular collapses in red ball cricket. That's where I think we need to plug those gaps. Like if there's a wicket being fall, like there is a fall of wicket which has happened, like get into your zone, score some runs, make sure that the another wicket doesn't fall. Like you have some kind of a partnership at least that has to be built
Hmm.
True.
because the collapses are really frequent now. They are really frequent and they happen in heaps. It's like once
Hmm.
Kohli said, like we had 45 minutes of bad play. We are having 45 minutes of bad play every session.
Very regularly, every
These are
And
series,
batting.
couple of times every series.
and the roll-on effect of this is we are compensating or letting compromising on our bowling attack because of that. Today, if our top six was in great form, we would have probably, and Nitish Reddy's done fantastically well. I have nothing against him, but we could probably gone in with a Siraj, Harshit and an Akashdeep. Today, an Akashdeep and Harshit Rana combined can fill in the number seven, the number nine, and number 10 slots. But speaking of
But
them,
yeah, मतलब you would have someone like Harshit Rana के बदले you would have played Akashdeep. Harshit Rana, the whole and sole reason was
yeah,
like
I'm
he
saying
can hold it. He
in
can hold
place
a
of
bat.
maybe a Nitish Reddy, where you don't need to meet up your batting. You have four
Hmm.
A grade
You
fast
can go in with
bowlers.
four pure fast bowlers. Yeah.
Exactly. But
Then if we move on to the bowling attack now, like the quick fix over here has to be like you put in someone like an Akashdeep or a Prasidh Krishna for a Gaba test and take out Harshit Rana because he has been too wayward. And
100%.
now the series being leveled up, you definitely want to make sure that you don't lose the third test as well.
Agreed. In
Would
fact,
you
I have
pick
a big
Prasidh
criticism
Krishna?
of his selection in the first test itself. I don't think he wanted a place given how Akashdeep is playing. And it just
Hmm.
feels instinctively that this was Akashdeep's series, given the way he bowls on Indian tracks also.
Hmm.
Goes very hard on that hard length, bowls hard balls. He would have been sort of our answer to
And I think he
mix
would
of
have
a
been a very good pick for the pink ball test specifically because
Oh,
we
I
have
did it
seen him move the
especially.
new ball.
exactly,
He
exactly.
would
Like
have
the
been.
Adelaide test was the match for him through like across the five test matches we are playing. Adelaide was the perfect condition for him with the pink ball.
Easily.
And I don't know what
Now
else he
we
can do
don't know
better.
what is
I
going to
mean,
happen.
he's
Hmm.
and this I think is reminiscent of all those weird selections we were doing in from 2014 to 19, where eventually a player will be like, even with Sarfaraz, I don't think he should be picked in the 11, but eventually those thoughts start creeping on what more can you do.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And
In the next
but
test, I think I think Akashdeep is likely to make his debut. I don't know if I don't know if the management trusts Prasidh Krishna enough to give him like trust him with 5 days of bowling.
Hmm.
I think Akashdeep will likely make his I mean will likely make his way into the 11. I think combination wise, the bowling, I think we'll definitely go in with Ashwin because GABA cracks may come into play. I don't know. I think we'll definitely go in with Ashwin. And I think the rest of the lineup will be pretty much the same. I don't see any big changes happening.
I think
Um,
Ashwin bowled pretty well in the second test also. I mean, there is nothing
he did
to
bowl pretty well. I think he
in that
got
that, that head
that
wicket.
head chance that
Exactly.
would have been the difference in the match. Uh,
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Speaking of the person who attempted, there was a great attempt, Siraj. I think like people may have different things to say about Siraj. I think with that incident that happened with head especially, I think people forget that Indians are not very good at picking up accents, at
Hmm.
picking up what Australians would say. So even if Travis Head would have just said well bowled or whatever, I think instinctively Siraj would have thought that Travis Head is abusing him or something like that, and he obviously would have reacted, and that obviously fires him up. And we saw how exactly, right? We picked up 3 wickets after that. I think after getting Travis Head out.
Yeah, he
No, no,
picked up three
including
wickets.
Travis had three.
No, he got
Including
four.
Travis and I
He got
And it
four.
was his second.
He got four. He got four.
I think head was his
totally
second.
got four wickets. One Ashwin, one Nitish Reddy, four Bumrah and four Siraj.
I think Head was his first wicket, and he got the tail after that. He got, I think, Stark, Cummins, and maybe Lyon. I can't remember. But basically,
No,
yeah,
I think so. Scott Boland. He got in Scott Boland.
Boland. Yeah, 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 yeah. So these things do work for him, and I
I think
think
the only other thing to address in bowling is how do you use Nitish Reddy? You can't be using him as a uh, fifth bowler to just plug in gaps. I think you have to be more strategic on when to use him, obviously, but still use him a lot more. I think he's proven that he can bowl well
he's picked up a wicket each
each inning.
in each of
Yeah,
the
like he has
test
picked
matches.
up wickets, but I feel because we had Harshit Rana as well as your third seamer, they were a bit underconfident with bowling Nitish Reddy
Exactly. Exactly.
from the other end as well. Now, if you get in someone like Akashdeep, you would have more faith because he has played test matches on an international level. He knows the grind of international level.
And I
So
think
if
just
you have
in
someone like an
terms of
Akashdeep, then
control,
definitely you would see a lot more of Nitish Reddy as well because you
Hopefully,
you can have
fingers crossed.
Siraj and Bumrah for the new ball for those specific moments and those
yeah.
specific bursts that
Yeah,
you
instead
want
of
to
those
use them
8
for.
over bursts, you need to preserve them for a 4 or 5 over burst.
Yeah, you just need
And
to preserve them for that 4-5 overs.
And I
So
mean, given the
been already two test matches, and Bumrah and Siraj have done the heavy work
yeah,
as of now.
that's just coming to given the eventual point in the test match. I think it's a boon for us, but Bumrah pulled up, and that would have been
oh,
the
I
end
had
of
my
the
heart in
series
my
for
mouth.
us. Luckily, the
Yeah,
second
end
inning
of the
was a
series for
three
us then.
over run chase. So,
Yes,
And
I
and
now
think
at least they had like 2 extra days of getting
of
rest. The
rest,
bowlers would have that.
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they bowled only one inning, so it's
So
a lot of
Some
combination.
gas in the
plus
tank.
it's a quick turnaround as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, so I think I do expect Siraj, Akashdeep, and Bumrah to do well. I don't think bowling is going to be such a. I hope they deploy the short ball tactic
Yeah,
against
the next is
Head.
that on how do we. I think in terms of tactics, I don't know what happened between the first test and the second test, but like Rohan was saying, for some
We
reason we
didn't pull
just
enough at
weren't
the stumps.
bowling
I
full
don't know.
enough. And the other was there was nobody who could bowl an effective short ball. It's not even about bowling short balls.
Hmm.
Even Siraj wasn't bowling great short balls. A lot of them
Hmm.
were viewer, a lot of them down the leg side. We
Hmm.
gave away a ton of buys in the first innings. So
Hmm.
it's also about, and I think Akashdeep will be very, very relevant here. Maybe Nitish Rana wasn't very effective in doing that. Siraj's pace dropped quite a bit in his second and third spells while bowling the short ball. So maybe that is something they need to work on how to effectively use it, not just use
Hmm.
it, be more
So I think
strategic.
I'm sure they'll be practicing. I think everybody knows. I mean, Travis Head knows that's coming. So and hopefully, and I think at some point, hopefully, the law of averages will come into play, and Travis Head will not score 100. Hopefully, this time.
There,
But
there there are there are some players. No, I Travis Head reminds me of Salman Butt and Shoaib Malik.
yeah,
Just
Yeah, starting out their career, Nasir Jamshed also,
Nasir
nah,
Jamshed.
all
Just
of
like
these
no
players.
matter what, Alistair Cook.
It's like
Just no
there is
matter
going to be
what you
that
do.
one player across the series who's going to be a thorn for us. We were afraid of Steven Smith performing.
yeah.
Now if
But
Steven
but
Smith
I was
doesn't
just coming to
perform,
that
Labuschagne
also.
might.
I think Labuschagne is we've got him in the perfect spot. I think he thinks he's recovered some form, and
But
he's
I
still
don't
very
think so. It was
tentative.
just
Exactly. So I think
it is
that's
just that
ideal
he
for
got
us.
lucky that time. Our bowlers poured
Absolutely.
in line. That's it. Otherwise, I don't think so. Like the
But I'm
bowling needs
actually
to
very
just
worried
stick to
about
their
Smith.
basics.
Smith is at two failures. He's going to come back with the mentality of that 2019 Ashes series. He wants to make a mark, and I think in all
And
this,
I think he will fail again. He will fail.
I hope so. And I think, given
I
what
think the
happened in the
luck is
last
run
two,
out for him. The luck is run out for him. That is a definite thing. Now you don't see his catches being dropped or
yeah,
him getting out on a no ball. Whatever had to happen, it happened in the first 40 test matches of his career. That's it. Whatever
and he's
evil that
finally
he puts
playing
in.
tests outside of Australia. So
Yes, I
that
think okay, but what about the positives from this test match? Do you see, if any,
I
uh
honestly think this
It
test
got
match
over in two and
was
a half days. That is the biggest positive I feel for our
I
bowling
agree,
attack.
I agree. I think
Like
this was
in
this was
terms of
as
like
bad as
we
the
we need
36
to
all
make
out.
sure that Bumrah is fresh. Our
fair
fast
enough, fair
bowlers are
enough,
fresh. 2 extra
fair
days
enough.
of rest is not going to do any harm to them. That's one
Absolutely.
thing.
The only other positive thing was Nitish Reddy across both
Yeah,
Hmm.
innings.
Hmm.
So
across both
outside of that,
innings.
I don't think anybody can say anything was a positive. People will talk about Gill, etc. But I mean, that's
So
the
I think
bare
it's a
minimum.
good I'm very happy that Gill got a great start.
It's not a
Uh,
negative, but I don't think it's a positive. It's the bare minimum you expect of an Indian number three.
Fair
Yeah,
enough,
and I mean, if you are being touted as the next big thing in Indian cricket, then you have to do something.
fair
You
enough,
have to put up some match-winning performances, not just a performance, but a match-winning performance. If you are the
fair
next
enough.
big thing or you are the next big player.
Especially
Otherwise,
when the tailwinds are when the headwinds are so strong.
Hmm. Yeah, like
And
not too many major positives. I would say Siraj again coming out all right. I think is not a bad sign. And obviously Bumrah again, I would say that's a bit of a negative because it feels like we're relying a little too much on Bumrah. Uh, Ashwin was, I think, a good one for
fair.
us. Um,
But
so
again, I think we are grasping at straws here because those are these are things that you expect out of the Indian team. You expect Ashwin to bowl like this. So they're
hmm.
they're they're not negatives, but I don't think these are positive.
No, if if there's one test match that I would have sort of wanted to lose, it would have been this one. Because I think if we win the next test match, I think that's it. There is no way Australia can come back from there. We'll win 3-2 or 4-1. Um, Here, anyway,
But
I would say like,
Australia actually did this thing as well. Like they have been really strategic in planning the GABA test as their third test. Usually GABA is where they end their home summer.
Yeah,
And they
correct.
have realized across the last 2 summers that GABA pitch is actually slowing down at the end of their home
summer.
summer. So they made sure that now GABA is the third test.
But
Hopefully, with
Matthew,
Akashdeep coming in, it might backfire. I think a lot of times over the last 2 years, overseas teams have done this kind of curations, and that has
so
backfired. Hopefully, that
I
continues.
was listening to Matthew Hayden. What he said is that the practice pitches at the Gabba are actually very similar, almost identical to the center wicket. So he says effectively you get 5-6 days of practicing on pretty much the center wicket, and that effectively makes it not particularly a home game for Australia. So his view
Fingers
is that
crossed.
this is as 50-50 as it gets. I hope.
But
Let's see what happens.
again, see, if you look at the last 5 test matches that have happened at GABA, the runs have been there for scoring.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the runs are there on offer. Runs have always been there for offer. It's about the now it's up to the bowlers. Like this is a proper Australian pitch where you have to stick to your line and length. You have to make sure that there is good
You have to
amount
bend your
of
back.
pressure on run scoring. Because if you actually err in your line a little bit, how Harshit Rana did, and he was smacked for fours, he was smacked for boundaries across all his overs, and it was not
yeah,
just one boundary; it was like two, three boundaries that were
yeah,
coming
yeah,
in.
yeah. He was by Labuschagne even.
Yeah, I mean, like the person who was actually struggling to get off the mark, he was easily hitting him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So you can't be making sure like people like Labuschagne and Smith get into their groove of
yeah.
scoring runs. You don't want
So
that
I
to
think
happen at the start of the series.
in a way, I think it's we this was a bit of a kick up our backside. Maybe that's what we needed, and it's going to keep us alert for the
Getting a
rest of the
lot
season.
of these days, I feel.
Yeah, I think this year we have lost so many test matches home conditions, overseas as well. We have got a lot of as a reality checks throughout each and every series.
Well,
I think
So
that
I
brings
don't
us to
think so. Like
the
this year, we haven't had like one test match where we have won by an innings like convincingly throughout. Like we weren't at
agreed.
any kind of pressure.
except for that test
And
match in Bangladesh against Bangladesh.
I mean, okay,
Yeah,
we will count that
for
series
whatever it's
because
worth.
it is a part of the
That too,
WBC
Ashwin
call circuit.
Jadeja pulled out a rabbit
Correct,
of the hat. So I don't
correct.
think
Yeah.
that was also very convincing.
Other than that, every single test match, it's not like we have been on top of them. Like there was this period of our
Yeah,
home dominance that we were talking. Even overseas, when we were winning, we were usually dominating sides. I don't see that
correct,
happening. Second, I think the main point of concern as of now is Rohit's captaincy.
100%.
Because if you are
correct.
having long on and long off, and you're not having mid on and mid off, you're giving those easy singles.
Yeah,
It means that you are on the defensive side.
on the
You want to
defense.
save runs. You're not looking to take wickets. You're just trying to make sure
Mm.
that we get into that. That is one thing that I noticed in the second test match, that he was just making sure that we get to the second new ball. And the
Correct.
damage shouldn't be that much till the time we reach the 80 over
The
mark
second
and
new
take the
one.
new ball.
Correct.
And also, I
Mm.
think the
Like,
lack of uh, any reactions or any counter-attacking punches. I mean, the way Cummins eventually handled Nitish Reddy with the flying slip. I don't remember the last time I saw a batter get out to a flying slip.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know they were not under any pressure or anything was smooth, etc. But
Hmm.
somehow Rohit has lost that tact, and I think he had that beautifully in the first year and a half of his captaincy. But over the last year, somewhere you feel that that's gone missing. Even in the Bombay Test match where all of us were there, where he
Hmm.
didn't bowl Jadeja from the end that Ajaz Patel was bowling. Didn't have a forward shot leg for the longest time, even though there were multiple balls going there. So I don't know what's missing there. I don't know if it's his
I
own
felt like
batting
Rohit
form
was
that's
never
playing
like
into
your
his.
red ball captain as such. I mean, if you look at it, a 5 day game, like if you look at the white ball setup, he's a great captain, but across 5 days, because he was never a part of the test match setup also. For the longest period of his career, he was never a part of the test match setup because he didn't have those capabilities back then to play a test match. And I don't see him as like a test captain since the time like he has been handed over the captaincy, because all those things you can see like him cracking up. It's right now it's evident because we are losing. While we were
Absolutely.
winning, we were really applauding him. Oh, great captaincy! But there were a lot of flaws also back then. Now we are pointing out those
Hmm.
flaws because we are not winning.
It's
We
of course
kind of
added
ignored
on by
all
the
of those
fact
things.
that Virat Kohli is not in form. He doesn't have a Shami, etc. I
Hmm.
mean, a lot of these tactical
But like
issues
if you
would
look
have
at
been.
Virat when he was captaining, he had like Shami, he had a raw Shami. He had to make do things with
I
Umesh
don't. I think
Yadav
that was
and
the
Ishant
first to do it. I think from 2016 onwards. See, it's important to put things in perspective. Like with Dhoni's 2011 to 14 series
Hmm.
patch. End of the day, the captain is only as good as his squad. And
Yeah, definitely. But
Kohli's
when
for
you
the
see,
majority part of Kohli's Test career, he had a much better both batting and bowling unit than the Indian
hmm,
squad is right now.
plus
That
he
being said,
himself was in the
it's not forgivable. This is where the
hmm.
captain really needs to pull up his socks and show what he's made
You know,
of.
like so when you look at Kohli when he was the captain, like definitely he was at his peak. Batting, he was at his batting peak back then. So there is no doubting that fact. But again, the captain needs to lead from the front. This is something that Kohli
Absolutely.
did, and he marshaled his troops quite well. When you look at
Hmm.
Rohit Sharma, he's trying to marshal them, but then it doesn't look like that he's actually trying to attack. He's trying to get ahead of the game. We are always
Yeah.
doing the chasing job over here. We are
I
always
think his
behind the
own
game. We are
batting
always
form
behind the
or
eight
the
ball.
lack of it is fueling this. I think he's a very confidence-based captain. And
Hmm.
even when you saw the World Cup, even though there were small innings, both the T20 and the 50 World Cup, the
Hmm.
fact that he was making a significant and tangible impact really got
Hmm.
him going. And I
Yeah.
think the fact that here it's almost as if he's playing for a spot.
What do
That
you guys
is,
think
Hmm.
if we lose the Gaba test and if Rohit doesn't score, do you think there will be consequences?
I think it's a
I
very
think Rohit
difficult
has
call.
good PR, I feel. His PR is quite strong. We have
I
seen
don't think
across
it's
the
just
last
that.
7, 8 months, his PR is quite strong. This is one thing that I'm really sure about.
No,
Rohit
the
has
other
good,
thing with Rohit,
whoever
I
Rohit
feel
has hired for his PR. So
No, the
there
question
won't be
also
any
is,
consequences till the time India doesn't come, like the Indian team doesn't come back to home. I don't think so. Till then, there would be any
do you think
consequences.
Rohit himself will take any calls like Dhoni did?
he might, I do feel he might give up captaincy, but I don't think he'll drop himself from the
I
team.
think, which eventually
Yeah,
would
because
mean I think if he drops, if he steps down as captaincy, I think he's reasonably self-aware. I don't think Rohit is not self-aware. I think
hmm,
he going by what the way he decided to drop himself down the order. I think
That's
he's
why I think
reasonably.
he might step down from the captaincy role. But I also think who else do you play in place of Rohit at this point in time? I think it's a big risk to put in any of the other batsmen. I might as well stick with him. Because
No,
I mean
no.
there's
If hypothetically, if Rohit does decide to go away, you'd rather blood in somebody like even a Devdutt Padikkal, for example.
I think
Let
there's
him
or
enough.
Dhruv
experience
Jurel.
the two.
Again,
Or Dhruv
I
Jurel.
think that first test match there was enough chance for them or enough visibility on them to show that they can do it. And I think the odds of if I were a betting man, I would place my bets on Rohit to come back, especially because the fourth test is SCG and MCG, where the biggest issue of the ball seaming and rising from a length will not exist as much. I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
I would much rather have Rohit
Fairly, the
there.
Boxing Day test and the New Year test is going to be more in our favor because of the conditions that are there. But
Exactly,
again,
Hmm.
Gaba test becomes the pivotal point in the series right now. It's
Correct.
1-1.
exactly. So if
This is where it has to happen now.
exactly
Like anything, like
Hmm.
whoever is going to win this test is going to win the series. It
Win
feels
the
like that.
series, likely. Hmm.
not necessarily. I still think if Australia win this also, uh, with the
I
way
don't think so because I think in the fourth or the fifth test, you have Bumrah would be rested in one of those test matches.
100%, I think then the MCG test will become very toss dependent.
Hmm.
And there, if we win the toss and we have a good first innings, then Australia's done and dusted for.
You know what? We are not ruling out a Sydney draw.
Sydney, yeah, fair enough.
We can't be.
I don't
Australian
know the
big three
weather,
bowlers
but
would be
I think
tired
if
down
it's a
back then.
5 day game, then there'll be a result. I don't remember the last time we had a
Hopefully, like the
No, the
last two
last
times,
time there was a draw was in 2000, even before 2021, like when Ashwin and Vihari did what they did. Even before that, I think in
the
2000,
2018 test match got
rain
it was a
affected.
drawn
draw.
because
It
of
was a
rain.
Rain
draw.
affected. Rain
It
affected.
rained across like 1.5 day.
Correct. We would
In
have won, but it was a draw. It was a draw.
So yes, of course,
Hmm.
if rain comes into play, then I think a draw is on the card. But outside of that, I don't see a draw happening no
Hmm.
matter the conditions.
No, I think the
Yeah,
only
because
reason, yeah, you're right. Like there'll be a draw only if it rains. But yeah, like you can't, which is why wrapping up the series before, like India can't
But
go into
one,
the
it's not
series.
just about wrapping up the series; it's about the WTC also. If we
WBC
lose
finals,
this,
yes.
then I think WTC for sure is.
Yeah, it's off
He's
the
out of
Then
cards.
we
reach.
just
In
have
fact,
to hope for other results to go our way.
The thing is, they, even if we get to the WTC final against South Africa, I think their bowling attack, even their batting, the way they're batting, I feel like they could anyway. Like that's for another time, another day.
That's a very
Uh,
far-fetched thought as of now.
yeah, exactly. Let's see how it goes. We'll see what the news is over the next couple of days, what the captains say, what the coaches say, and we'll probably do a preview on Thursday or Friday. So yeah, cool,
Done. Done. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
cool. Yes, reset. Okay, see you guys.
See you. See you.
See
See you.
you.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Why not? Okay.